Oh my god, I thought I burned something. That wasn't supposed to happen. 1, 2, 3. Hello besties, welcome back to Joyful Encounters. Today, we're gonna talk about how I've made money over the years on top of my 9 to 5 while making bread because, you know, making money is making bread, aka the pun. It's supposed to be a pun. I'll be making some black sesame mochi bread and I'm taking you with me. Okay. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Joy. I'm a 20-something living in New York City and I love to make videos where I talk about my life and reflect on my 20s. So if this is something that interests you, please like and subscribe. I'll be rating each side hustle based on how much money I made, the effort it required, the learning curve, and just how much I enjoyed it. I don't bake. This is my first time baking in 2 years, so excited to try. Did you know that powdered sugar and cane sugar are not the same thing? Because I did not prior to this. So before I start baking, I wanted to talk to you more about why I decided to try these different side hustles. As a child, I've always been interested in making money. When I was in 3rd grade, I remember having a math tutor and she would sell these really cute notebooks and I would buy them and sell them to my classmates in school because I knew that they were cute and I noticed that my classmates' notebooks were not it. You can say that I've always had a little bit of an entrepreneurial streak in me. I would say that I was pushed to start mainly because when I started working in New York City as a new grad, I was honestly not making a lot. It was money in, money out, equilibrium, wasn't saving at all except for my 401k. Well, if you live in New York City, you'd know that if you step outside and you breathe air, that will be $30 in itself. If it's a nice day and you have brunch, it can easily be another $50. So New York City is expensive and I wanted to have more money. But I've also always had this desire to be able to make money outside from corporate just because I knew that one day I did not want to work a corporate job and I thought this was a good way to exercise or practice my ability to hustle. Another push was this book I read by naval ravikant, I think, who's this really famous VC person, among other credentials. I'm sorry, tech bros, don't come after me. Anyways, he has this book, which is a really good read even if you're not in tech. There was something that really stood out to me, which was if you want to be wealthy, if you want to be rich, you should be able to derive income from methods that are not tied directly to your labor, which means that if you make money based off hours you put in, it'll be really hard to be wealthy. One of the ways to get wealthy is to have equity, because if you have equity, which means you have ownership, your wealth is not tied to hours you work. And if in case one day you became unhealthy or something happened, then even if you stopped technically working, you'd still be able to generate wealth. According to this book, there are 2 ways to generate wealth: either own your own business or own an equity in someone else's business. And New York Times and Bloomberg did not give out stocks, so I had to really kind of hustle on my own. That's the honest story as to why I decided to look into all these side hustles. Yeah. Also, disclaimer though, none of these side hustles have made me significantly rich, because if I was significantly rich, I would not be filming this YouTube video right now. I would probably be on a private jet to, I want to say, Japan, and buy all the cute things that I don't need that my heart desires. If you're trying to grow your wealth or you're trying to just have more money, my tip is to not focus on side hustles or passive income. Typically, YouTubers are the one who tell you to have passive income, but the way YouTube as a business enables you to easily set up that passive income, versus if you're someone who works a corporate job, it's a lot harder to set multiple streams of income and passive income. So I would say that in the short term, at least, if you want to make more money, the best way to do it is to increase your OG pie, aka go after a greater salary. Now let's start making bread. I'm also really bad with instructions, but the first step, it seems, is to preheat the oven to 350 Fahrenheit and prepare a sheet lined with parchment paper. And then in a saucepan, combine the milk, butter, sugar, and salt. Bring it to a simmer and do not overheat. Okay, first I guess we gotta weigh the things I need, because I have no idea what I need. The first side hustle I'm gonna be talking about is medium. Adding some milk. So basically for medium, what I did was I wrote a couple of essays and then I would send them to a publication. So in medium, if you send an article to a publication and it gets accepted, then you're able to make money off the readership, and you get into this thing called the Medium Partner Program. So the 3 articles that got accepted into publication, 2 were a data science article, sort of a summary of a side project that I did, and it was kind of technical writing. I'm not gonna lie, multitasking like this, it's not gonna lie, it's kind of hard. And then I want to say that the third article I wrote was based on like this time that I went on a date with this guy I met on like Coffee Meets Bagel, and we went on a 6-hour date, and then he ghosted me, and I was really sad for like a week. And I was like, you know, trauma means nothing if you can't monetize it. So I wrote about it, and I like sent it to a publication, and it got approved, and I think I got like $10 off of it. Yeah, I was able to buy myself bubble tea from getting ghosted. That fun fact aside, what happens if you're in the Medium Partner program is that they pay you per readership, and you don't need like a certain number of followers to get started. The barrier to entry is pretty low. And I posted these articles in like 2021, I would say, and then I still trickle in some revenue, although it's like pennies at this point. But I think compared to like all the other forms of social media, Medium is the easiest to start with. And if you're really serious, I know I've read articles of people making thousands of dollars of like side income from like Medium. I'm just gonna eyeball the sugar because I realized I don't have a measuring thing for like tablespoon. I don't even have a spoon right now that's clean, so I'm just gonna use a fork and like, God, Jesus, fingers crossed. Oh my God, I thought I burned something. I'll just paste my earnings here because I'm too lazy to like calculate how much I earned on Medium. No, my scale stopped working. To be fair, I haven't used this in like 3 years.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Okay, the good news is I found a spoon. The bad news is baking is hard, and I'm gonna have to just eyeball everything. That wasn't supposed to happen. I want to say that for Medium, I would rate it a 4 out of 5 just because it's pretty easy to like get started. You don't need like a set number of subscribers to get started, and they pay like decently well. And I think that the skills you need is just like decent enough writing skills, because I like writing but I'm not the best writer, and if you do niche down, you can like benefit from it. But the reason why I stopped doing Medium was mainly because you need to be like super clickbaity, which I didn't like. I like to write because it's like a form of expression, and so that's why I stopped. But I feel like out of like a lot of the other social media types of way to make money, Medium is like an underrated ways to do it. Okay, feels like the hardest part was over, so I'm just gonna be here, stand here, mix, and talk to you. I want to say that the second thing I did to make money in my, I don't want to say free time, but like in my free time, was writing essays. I wrote an essay for like a news publication, and I got paid $500. I would say that there are a lot of like news publications looking for like freelance writers, and they typically pay like $1 per word, which is what I got paid for because it was a 500-word essay. Unlike Medium, I would say that the barrier to entry is a little higher because you need to pitch an idea, you need to look for like news people to pitch to, and also just be a better writer. It definitely takes a lot more time too, because like for Medium, you can write an essay, and then the publication will decide whether they like it or not, and if they'll include it in their publication or not. For like these publications, there'll be like a lot more back and forth, and usually you'll work with an editor. I worked with this like really lovely editor. I had to meet her in person like a few times in New York, so I would say that it was a little bit of a time commitment, although I did manage to make a lot more than I did on Medium. But I would like rate it as like, I would say like a 3 out of 5, just because it's like nice, but it's not like the ideal side hustle, because the money you make is directly tied to like your output. Okay, that was only slightly traumatizing, and I'm reminded why I haven't baked in 3 years. Anyways, we're gonna continue the rest of the video like this because my babies are in the oven. By babies, I mean the matcha bread I'm trying to make, because I ended up realizing that I have way too much matcha that I need to use up. So the third way I've made money over the years is Depop. This one requires capital, which means you need to put money up front, which I wasn't really a fan of. But in 2023, I really got into thrifting, and I would go to thrift stores and try to find like good pieces and try to like upsell them on Depop, or things from my own closet that I haven't used in years. A lot of girl math would have to go behind here because I don't know how much money I actually made, because technically I sold a lot of things from my closet that I don't even remember how much they cost. I would go to Brooklyn and buy stuff, and if I thought it was cute, I would list them on Depop, and if someone bought them, then I would ship it instead of using it for myself. And sometimes I would like upsell the price a little, But just because thrifting in Brooklyn is already pretty expensive, I would say that probably I profited like $3 off each item. And I'll just put some of my earnings here, but you gotta like girl math because I don't know how to like account for it properly, just because there are a lot of like expenses that I don't even remember. I would rate it a 1 out of 5 just because it requires capital to get started and it's really hard and time consuming. You need like a certain set of skills, which is taste, which I don't even know how you're supposed to develop. Okay, side gig number 4 is a teaching program at Columbia. I was a TA. I was a teaching assistant for the Columbia Journalism School's Intro to Python and Data Analysis class for 1 semester for the lead program, which ran from, I believe, like October to December. I basically held office hours, 4 hours each week. The program was held online because of COVID. And so I didn't have to commute to Morningside Heights, which was great. I also personally enjoy teaching. I have a lot of empathy for people who struggle with learning because I'm not naturally the best learner. It was really fun interacting with people. I made $2,000 of that teaching gig, and I would say that it was good money because I didn't spend so much time and it wasn't really labor intensive, although it was still dependent on how many hours I put in. I would rate the gig a 4 out of 5 just because I enjoyed teaching, I enjoyed interacting with the students, and it was pretty fun, although I would say that I'd feel differently if I had to actually commute to Columbia's campus. The other side gig, and probably the most lucrative, is dog sitting on Rover. I was living in my first studio apartment and I wanted to get a dog because I think wanting to have a dog, thinking someone's dog is cute, and actually getting a dog, they're like completely different things. So I use Rover to like dog sit. I've been dog sitting pretty like passively, which means I don't promote my account. I know like a lot of sitters on Rover would have an Instagram page for like their dog sitting business. I don't do that. I just do it because I like dogs. But I also don't accept all dogs because sometimes I am busy or sometimes I don't really vibe with the dog. Do not go on Rover and be a sitter if you don't like dogs, because this is a really like, I would say, emotionally more intensive job than the other gigs I mentioned. So last year I easily made above $1,000. I believe this year I made about $500 so far, and I'll paste my earnings here. I charge $65 a night and I have like return customers, so I normally take in dogs that have stayed with me before. I don't look for new customers now. But Rover takes like 20%. I've also had cases where the dog would have an accident, aka they would pee in my apartment, or they would vomit, or they're like super anxious. So it is a pretty like I wouldn't say labor intensive job, but like you need to be able to empathize with a dog. I would rate it a 5 out of 5 just because it's good money and it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy empathizing with not just people but with animals as well. You also don't require any initial capital, which is great, but I did realize after doing it that I do not want to have a dog because it is a huge responsibility, and I feel like at this stage in my life I can't give that dog the full attention and love it needs. So it just like occasionally dog sit, but that's it. Side gig number 5 is Etsy. I passively maintain a card and sticker shop that specializes in puns. I started an Etsy shop in 2021 with my friend where we sold cards and stickers, and since then it's sort of like evolved to me passively selling cards. I got started because I got an iPad and like drawing became like my pandemic hobby, and I love puns. Like, I'm making bread to talk to you about how I made bread, so all of my cards there were like puns. In case you can't tell, I am a little cheesy. I think the first year we made, of course, this was like pre-taxes, and this was of course like pre-expenses. I would say it was like above $500, and I've made like a couple $100s since. The initial capital was $200, and since then I've like bought things to like kind of propel me in my creative journey, which I don't know if you can count that as like expense. Someone help me with the girl math. I would rate it a 2 out of 5 just because Etsy ads are expensive, SEO is hard, and you really need to know your product in order to be able to make significant money, and it's just a lot of like information that you need to learn and look for, which I do not have the time for. But I feel like once you get that, once you understand SEO, once you understand like the product, then it's a lot easier to make money, because again, I know people make a lot of money selling art. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm one of those people. The last and final gig is YouTube. I've literally made $0 off YouTube, although I'm pretty close to monetizing, and I put in like 10 hours of work at least for every single video. But creating videos has been such a joy, and I'm well aware that if I make it, the upsides are potentially endless. So I'm just gonna stick to it because I love creating videos so much. Although sometimes it feels a little sad that even though I monetize one day, I know I'll probably be making like 50 cents a day. Okay, BRB, gonna check on the bread. Can someone tell me why it looks like a gigantic cookie instead? Okay, but let's do a taste test. That was gross. That was gross. Anyways, I don't think I'll be baking again forever. That's horrible. I thought it was gonna be like a fun, soothing activity, but I think I just wasted all that matcha. Yeah, I'm not gonna bake anymore. I'm sorry, I tried for the pun. Okay, maybe this is a good thumbnail. Jokes aside, I don't know. Thanks for watching, and if there's any way you've made money outside of a traditional way of making money, let me know down in the comments, because I'm always interested in learning about how other people make money. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Okay? Love you, bye!